I think that it'd be very difficult to suggest to government that these are phased developments because certainly most of the major operators will be happy to bid higher than the next guy and say, well, we'll do it all at once. So I think in these major urban destinations where clearly there is a very big market and very big opportunity, you would have to do it all at once. With maybe a little bit of phasing, but although I would say that phasing was really growth. You know, it was future growth. Your base building is going to be fully comprehensive. I think in other jurisdictions, and it's, you know, smaller locations, sometimes a phased approach may make a little bit of sense, particularly where there is uncertainty around the market size. In large urban areas where locals will be able to go to the casino, we have more ability to understand the market size. In some of the sort of foreigners-only markets, it is a lot more difficult to determine what that market size is going to be until you open.
Will?
Yeah, I agree. I believe it's a case-by-case basis. I think if you just look at some of the examples around the world, you see City Center, $8 billion, single-phase development. That's because Las Vegas is a very established market. This current Wave 3 in Macau is very much also single-phase openings, but if you dial back the clock, a decade ago, Sands Macau came out as a precursor to everything that you see today. Manila is another example where the very first, I don't know if it's probably an IR now, but it started out as a casino hotel, which was much bigger than what Pagcor had offered in terms of casinos only. But it was an emerging jurisdiction. Now I think people are having a lot more confidence in what Manila could potentially offer, and you see a little bit more less phased approaches. But generally, phasing approaches for large mixed-use developments is a sensible approach.
So a little bit different thought on where Ed is.
Sorry.
A little bit different thought where Ed is. I mean, Ed really says, and I'm not trying to create controversy, but no, but I like the idea of getting different perspectives because I'm not sure there's a real clear-cut answer. Augustine?
There are always two sides of the story, government side.
Always the guy at the end gets the compromise.
Investor side. You know, government, if I were in the government side, I would not put all the money up front, unless there's some guarantee that, you know, investors will come or compete for the project. I would like to do phases, you know. You look at several countries, like even investors, they don't want to do it right away, everything. So they like to, how do you call it? They like to play poker, right? You put a little bit on the table, you see the next card, and you put more money and you see the next card. That's how I see it.
I have two more questions, really, before we turn it over to the audience. And I'd like to I think they're important questions, but I'd like to try to keep the answers short. Your thoughts on single standalone facilities versus clusters, you know, in our markets. Are you in favor of, you know, the one big massive structure, you know, or splitting it up across maybe a duopoly, you know, and I'm now focusing really on probably the middle to larger markets, not the smaller ones. Will, do you want to start? Augustine, go ahead. I don't care.
Unless you have a very big market and a lot of people in an urban area, you know, you probably don't want to put everything in one big building.
I'm sorry, you don't.
No, if you are in an urban area with a lot of people and a lot of you have guaranteed success, you probably want to do it.
Well,
I think, again, if you look at jurisdictions around the region in particular, you see examples where governments have recognized the benefits of actually having a little bit of competition, even if it's at least a duopoly. Macau opened up their monopoly in 2002. Sydney opened it up last year when Singapore issued bids. It was also for two, both in 10 minutes away from each other. The competition in this case creates innovation. It's good for consumers. It's good for potential employees. And it basically, again, it goes back to the theme I started with, which is innovation is good. This is the bread and butter of our industry, and that's what makes integrated resort such a compelling destination, and that's what competition enables.
Ed?
Yeah, in the large markets, I like the idea of clusters. I'm going to keep it short.
Good. I'm going to just do a quick corollary before I move on to the next question. You think it grows the market? None of you spoke about, the idea of multiple operators versus a single operator.
Clusters grow the market.
I'm sorry?
That's the question.
Do you think it enlarges the market?
Yes. That's the way our business works. If you have a single facility in a location, and then you add a new facility potentially next to it, but also maybe in another location in a large urban area, it's clearly going to grow the market, and you'll start out probably with a bigger market.
Yes.
Good.
So,
So I'm going to give you guys have been good, so I'm going to give you a softball. Okay? Talk to me about the impact of tax rates on the development of IRs. And tell me why, there really potentially needs to be lower tax rates as we relate to IRs than maybe we've experienced in the traditional casino markets.
when I look at Macau, tax rate is very high, and still people flood the city, right? On the other hand, you have Philippines and other countries, you try to lower tax to bring in. So that's very much it's case-by-case basis. In my area, the government, the only thing the government says that whatever it takes, to lower, to raise the taxes, to bring in the tourists, to bring in the revenue, we'll do it. Okay, so my government will say that okay, we need to lower the tax to 5%, 3%, whatever, we'll do it.
Ed?
First of all, you need to look at taxes in a kind of holistic way. So typically markets will have a combination of gaming taxes, income taxes, sales taxes, and other taxes. So for example, we talk about Macau being 40% tax rate. There's no business tax here. We talk about tax, let's say, in